Searching for my kingdom, had to buy some harmony. Now I'm flexing with my jewels, you can tell I got a lot on me. Grab another hero, feeling like I hit the lottery. Farming, getting API, stacking profits to the sky. 1x, 2x, 10x.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inner Grove. Samichpunch, Babypunch. We're welcoming Raph onto the stream here. Welcome, man.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome,
man.
Raph.
Appreciate you coming on. So today we got a pretty cool stream today. We're going to be going over Perilous Journey and really kind of breaking down the nitty-gritty of what the heck we're all doing with this thing. I know we've all been pretty confused in what we're doing and who's sending what heroes, if you have a few or if you have a lot, and how much are you really risking versus the rewards. So we're going to get into kind of the weeds and the neck of it and break this down the best we can. So obviously there's going to be variables in all of this, but from what we have kind of gathered and have crunched some numbers and ran some simulations, we're going to give at least our perspective on what we think the Perilous Journey kind of entails. So, and I know we do have a few summons. I've got one. We can save those maybe towards the end of the stream. Samichpunch, I know you have a summon as well, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll anybody that's been following, my Twitter and we talked about this on our last stream. We've kind of been doing some summoning cycles, buying either floor Gen 1s or using Gen 1s from our Gen 0s, and then buying other Gen 1s to pair it with. And we've just kind of been, seeing, can we be profitable with this? So we've got a few heroes off of that cycle that from some of our Gen 1s that we could do maybe to wrap it up. So in terms of like Perilous Journey, we've known the details now for about a week. And I feel like every time it comes up, people have been in the chat like, what do you do? What would you do if it was this? And it was always kind of like, what? It was always just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I've never like really sat down. Work's been really busy the last week. And today was the first day I like really sat down. I started looking at numbers, percentage differences and rarities, tiers. And so I'm generally curious, like, let's all go around and let's tell them, if you're comfortable with it, how many heroes you have and how many of those are you planning to send? And then maybe we can go over some of the details and more specifics on why.
Yeah, sounds good.
Raph, kick us off.
All right. Yeah, I built a flow chart. I threw this out on our Discord channel earlier today. Half a joke, but mostly the series of questions that I'm following. First thing that I'm looking at is it a low rarity tier 1 professional line quester. My example of that would be like a common night miner. There's no way I'm sending those guys on the boat. I just feel like they're already earning their value when it comes to just working away on the quest for me. Next thing I'm looking at is is it a high rarity or high value hero, and have I extracted all that value from that hero? And that could be either in the form of testing out the market, trying to sell it and see what it's worth on the tavern, or using up all the summons in the case of a legendary or maybe a mythic. And if I've done that, I'm going to send them on the boat. And we could get into this a little later, but I feel like there's a really high opportunity cost of not sending your heroes if you have an eye on combat in the future. And again, like I said, we could dive into that a little more later.
Sorry if you didn't want this to be pulled up, but I pulled it up.
Oh,
here.
Go for it.
So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've got your flow chart here.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Really comes down to are they grinding away on the quest and doing a good job at it already? If so, there's no sense in sending them. That common night miner, which is actually someone I have. I think that's something that I'm gonna send right off the bat. So
You know, I had one thing I was actually that was one of the things I was looking at. I was like, what are the things we get value for when we send and like let's just assume they die, and what are the things we don't get value for? Some of the things that I think are disproportionate to the reward, where the risk greatly outweighs the reward, is like you said, these guys who are like common warriors, or sorry, not common warriors, like common foragers. So like I ran some numbers. So listen to this. So the floor fisher, or sorry, a fisher with a floor fisher with 5 profession skill is 40 joule. When you go up to 10 fishing skill, 43. 15 fishing skill, 51. There was actually only one with 20, and it was a Gen 0 that hit level 10. But there was some with level 18, common, just like common thief fishers, and the floor price was 68 joule. So you're seeing a 38, so almost 28 increase over the floor price just because of like his increase in experience and fishing skill level. And you send that guy, so if he's got level 18 fishing, he's probably pushing level 5, level 6, right? And he doesn't get anything extra for those fishing, right? Like if that guy gets burned, you might as well have burned a level 1 thief gardener, right? So that's playing big into my decision tree making as well. And a lot of my guys that are like level 15 professional skills, not sending.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. If you've got, back to this flow chart, if you've got a really nice hero that has a profession and class aligned, there's a good chance I am not sending that hero. But
Right.
if you've got someone who's off aligned, off profession, and is maybe someone that you haven't started grinding levels on, I'm okay sending those heroes. And honestly, there's some that I will send if they've got a good chance to compete in land tournaments
Hmm.
and survival in itself. Then I will consider those heroes for sure. So I don't know if we want to get into. I put together a breakdown. Do we want to get to something else before we go to this?
Yeah, I do want to address one comment from iOS Code. He says you get bonus levels through which which correlates to your professional skill. Yes, it's true. You do get bonus rewards and survival rate for your level, but that was one thing I was going to wrap up on when it came back to me on some of the things that I'm thinking about. And I don't think that the increase in survival rate and the increase in reward is proportionate at all to the level. If you look at the charts, let me just pop this up real fast. If you look at the charts, so here this is in the docs. If you look at the charts for survival, a level 1 is 35. You essentially get 1 level or 1% increase per level. You also get, if you look at the crystal rewards, you also get 1 crystal per level. And to me, that is just like extremely disproportionate to the amount of time it's taken me to hit these level ups. So
Oh, for
I
sure.
Yeah.
am hesitant to send. So I will get to this more kind of after Babypunch's spreadsheet, but like I am very hesitant to send common level 5 all my profession skillers.
Yeah.
Level
Right.
5 like rare, legendary, mythic, those are kind of tasty to me. So let's kick it back over to your spreadsheet.
So I put together. This might look confusing. I'm going to break it down the best I can, simplify it. I know there's a lot of numbers on here, but so I ran 4 different simulations. So this first one, a common level 1 wizard. So this is your floor of the floor. He is selling at 37 joule. Just the bottom tier hero you can come up with. So I ran 20 different simulation rounds. And the reason I did this is because you can see over here, you've got a 35% survival rate for a common level 1. So if I ran 10, you would have, you'd have a split hero. But if you ran 20, then you've got 7 of those are going to survive. 13 of those are going to perish. So I'll kind of break this down. You've got your simulation rounds here. You've got 20 different simulation rounds. 13 of those are going to die. And we know the death payout over here is 5 jewel. So right here, these 13 are going to die. You're going to get 5 jewel for those heroes that died. 7 of them are going to survive, and you're going to get a payout of 18 crystal. But for this simulation, I'm just considering crystal, jewel,
Call it
equal
1 for 1.
value. Yeah, 1 for 1. So, and likely that's what the values will be. So we've got 18 jewel for the 7 that survived. And then here's where some speculation is going to come into these next 2 columns. And so there's a hero value increase. So what you need to ask yourself and consider is, okay, the heroes that survived, how much more value are those heroes going to be than heroes that didn't take the journey at all? So, example, think if you go to the tavern, you've got 2 heroes there. They're just floor heroes. You've got a level 1 wizard that did not participate. That is going to cost you 37 jewel. You've got another hero that's now a level 2 wizard. So it's got an extra level because that's what it gets. It gets an extra level. It's going to have 15 bonus stats. It's going to have the achievement for future quests and access to the land tournament. With those, how much more are you willing to pay for that hero with all of those bonuses? And this is where speculation is coming in. You've got to assign some value because obviously it's going to be worth more. You don't know how much. It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 20. This is where you kind of do some speculating. So you've got to assign a value to those. I just put 5 in there for easy math. And I tend to be really conservative on my numbers. So 5 jewel I think is very conservative. Would that hero be worth at least 5 jewel more? I would say absolutely. Then you've got to look at your death reward. So if the hero dies, you're getting 1 lesser enhancement stone and 3 lesser attunement crystals. So if you turn those into a value in jewel, this is where speculation is going to come in as well. You've got to say, okay, what could those potentially sell for? I put 2 jewel. Now, it could be worth more. We don't really know. Maybe someone's willing to pay 5 jewel for all of those rewards. That's not 2 jewel per enhancement or attunement, but for all of those rewards, assign a value. I put 2 in there just for the sake of running the simulation and maybe try to be a little bit accurate. So you've got down here 26 jewel for death rewards. Then for the current floor value, you've got 37. This is what the hero is worth right now if you just go to the tavern and sell it. So this 13 that are going to die, you were losing out on 481 jewel. Now the heroes that survived, you didn't lose out on any jewel because you still have those heroes. So here is where you've got to take your death payout reward, your survival, your hero value increase, your death reward, and then subtract that all from the current floor value of what you would have gotten for the heroes, for 13 heroes. And then you come up here and you say, okay, this is what each hero is actually costing you to send. 11 and a half jewel.
That's like on an average over 20.
Yep, that is average.
Assuming on an average over like 20 simulations.
Yep, you run 20 simulations. On average, you should lose about 11.5 jewel per hero, but you're also getting 1 raffle ticket. So you've got to kind of consider, what are these raffle tickets worth to you? Are they worth 11.5 jewel? And it's going to change as you do different simulations. So now that we kind of have the layout broken down, hopefully everyone kind of understands. Does that make sense to you two, Samich and Raph?
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, the huge, and I'm going to say huge variable is the value of the hero for having a survivor benefit and the death rewards also.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, my back of the napkin, shooting from the cuff number, I would say those lesser I would say the lesser enhancement stone is going to have quite a bit of value, and I would say the attunement crystals will have at least the value of a Schwass rune. So
So
my
Schwass rune
numbers,
right now is essentially 1 jewel. So
yeah,
what would you assign for a
I
death
probably
value
would
for
have.
those two?
I'm gonna guess like 5 to 7 jewel for an enhancement stone, because those are pretty sweet, and then 1 to 2 for each lesser attunement.
Okay.
Um,
So you're saying my
but
death
yeah, I
rewards
mean,
are really, really conservative.
yeah, I think so. And
Okay.
I think there was a couple reach your mind here. He thinks your hero value increase is really conservative too. He
Yes,
says,
and I intentionally took that approach. I
yeah,
wanted to show people like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, I think that hero is at least worth 5 extra jewel. Like if I'm being
I think
realistic, I
I
would say
think
it's
that's
at least 10.
interesting. I actually think that on common heroes, the hero value increase is going to be pretty low.
I
Maybe
agree
it
with that
bumps
actually.
quickly in the short term, but in the long term, I mean, your rares, legendaries, mythics, they're 5 level bonus every 5 levels where they get to add stats. I think that's going to outweigh, even though these are targeted stat bonuses. You're kind of fighting a losing battle against time.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I do think that that's probably placed appropriately. And right now the funny thing about the price market, and I actually think that this is going to happen once the perilous journey occurs. Right now, the price market is really congested. There really isn't a lot of price discrimination between heroes of different attributes. And I think that's something we might see a lot more of when there's a lot fewer heroes on the market, which I think is a good thing for the game.
No, I agree. I think the common heroes are not going to see a ton of value increase because they're just not going to be competitive in combat, and they're not going to most likely win any land tournaments. So they're really kind of just your profession heroes.
Right.
at the end of the day, I think the key takeaway here is like everyone needs to, like if you're as you're making this decision, you need to find you need to attribute a value to that and like use that in your calculations.
Yeah.
Um,
And stats only contribute 1/3 of the quest bonus for professions as well.
yeah, the one thing I would say on that, so I'm probably on the other end. I think that 5 is low, and the reason I think that is 15 targeted stats. So that's a huge difference. Like, yes, mythic over the long run, but like you hit a mythic, like I've had a mythic hit level 5 and I'm like hitting 3 stats that like I
Garbage. Yeah.
don't want, right? So it could take you hitting that level 5 rarity bonus 4 to 5 times before you hit that extra 5 on a specific stat that you're looking for. And I mean, 4 to 5 times, that's what, level 25, like who knows how long that's going to take based off how long
Hmm.
it's taken to hit level 5. I mean, that's like, that could be 6 months of questing. So there is, I think there is a little bit of weight to be attributed to the fact that you get these very early on. And also if you get this on like a common hero, 15 stats to a common hero is a huge deal as opposed to a mythic. And we have no idea how combat's going to work out, but if anybody listened to our stream with Petrify, we were kind of speculating and like, what if there's a situation where you just like when true PvP comes out, you just like won't get queued up. If you have like all you have is like a set of 3 common basics, you're not going to get queued up against a guy with 3 mythic dread knights. And if there is some sort of MMR system or system like a twinking system, then a common that has an extra 15 stats over its peers could be a
That'll be
huge
huge.
disparity.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I 100% agree. So there's a lot of speculation here, and yeah, it's hard to know, but you've got to start somewhere. You've got to assign some value, and you kind of just have to go for it. So I have 4 different simulations. I won't spend this much time on each one, but a mythic. So my next simulation, okay, so you've got a mythic level 1 warrior now. So you've just summoned this thing. Do you send it? 20 different simulations. You can see the death payout, the survival payout. You can see the increased hero value. So now this is where I kind of assigned 50 jewel. Okay, if there's 2 mythics, I would hands down pay 50 more jewel for a mythic that survived, because now this hero can
Oh,
very
yeah.
well be a contender in LAN tournaments. He's going to be great in PvP, especially now that he's got 15 bonus stats in addition, an extra level. Like, I would pay 15 jewel. And then death rewards, same thing, assign the jewel amount, take the current floor value, and then you can see over here, loss 48 jewel, but you're getting 9 raffle tickets, so the price per ticket is 5.3 jewel that you're paying. So the reason I put this in here is, if you're coming out with a negative number, it probably doesn't make sense unless you're really conservative on your hero value increase and your death reward payouts. So if you're coming out with negative, it probably doesn't make sense unless you think you have a shot at winning a Gen 0. And now that they just announced, what was it, 200 Gen 0 giveaways, and remember, one wallet can only win one. So a whale that sends 200 heroes and has a bunch of tickets, he can only win one hero. So that means there's a good shot for everyone to kind of win a hero. If you've got a decent amount of tickets, I think your chances are, it's hard to say exactly what, but you've got a shot. So, okay, so we'll go to scenario 2, a rare level 5 Dark Knight. And again, I didn't give a scenario for every single one. I just wanted to give 5 different variations so you can kind of see how they pan out. So you can see the death rate, the benefit, or the survival, and then hero value increase. Again, I was conservative on this, but this one was interesting. You only lose 3.1 jewel per hero. So this one has a very good payout in the sense that the floor is really low. For a rare for a rare Dark Knight, 110 jewel in the tavern right now for rare Dark Knight, level 5. So, and you get 11 tickets, so your cost on that is really, really good. And so a lot of these variables right here are depicted from the current floor price. So that right now the tavern says Dark Knight, rare Dark Knights are really low in comparison to what the death benefit is, what the survival payout, what the hero value increases, and the death rewards. And then last scenario, a uncommon level 2 Sage. So you can see death payout, survival. Essentially, you're going to lose 13.4 jewel on average over 20 simulations. So you're still negative, but you're getting 8 raffle tickets. Those raffle tickets are only costing you 1.7 jewel per ticket. So it might be a little confusing. A lot of people might not quite understand all of this, but my ultimate takeaway is, if you think you have a shot at winning a Gen 0 hero in Crystal Vale, then you can see that your odds are pretty good. You're paying 1.7 jewel or 0.3 jewel, and again, this is taken your speculation and death rewards and hero value increase. So honestly, I'm talking way too much and it might not make a ton of sense, but because there's a ton of speculation in this, but you've got to start somewhere. This at least gives people some concrete numbers to kind of look at and to consider. So
I
that's
love the
kind of that.
framework.
Yeah.
I think one wild card that's hard to value is what kind of quests will be available to you as a survivor, and whether those will come with like unique rewards that will have a lot of value. And that's something we just are not going to know, and you're kind of just banking on the developers to deliver on that. And nobody really knows what that's going to be worth. And Raph, I recall after Neindorf went to DFK Day and you guys had your stream, you guys were talking about this a little bit, and Neindorf was, correct me if I misheard it, but I think he was speculating like, hey, what if there's some sort of quest like way late game when we get into the 4th expansion, and like there's going to be some like ultimate quest that will only be available to someone who has survived all 4, like let's say they do a
Perilous
similar thing,
journeys.
right? 4
Yeah.
perilous journeys. Like I could see a world where if that's the case, I mean there's going to be a limited quantity. Like the people who survive this Crystal Veil perilous journey will be fixed forever. Like it will never go up, right? And let's say you go through 4 iterations of this with each expansion, and the number of Crystal Veil survivors that where people are like, oh, I want to get all 4 achievements. Again, we're speculating here. That's going to get culled down every single time.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, kind of cool. That would be really cool if that ended up being the case. But I guess what I wanted to go back to is just say like very qualitative factor, that aspect,
Mhm.
and it's like hard to assign a value to it. So
Yep.
I honestly am putting I think it has a lot of value, and I do not think it will be reflected in the tavern until we get more details. So
100% agree.
I think one thing that's going to be so hard, kind of like going back to what I mentioned a little earlier, is, you know, this is going to, I imagine a lot of people are going to send a lot of heroes. I bet we see probably 25 to 40% reduction in the hero market out there. And when that happens, I really wonder what's going to happen to the hero prices. And so I think, like you said, Babypunch, this is a place to start. But, I think everyone's going to have to speculate their own risk levels on, what is that hero market going to look like afterwards. And I think it's going to change the landscape quite a bit. It might go back to, what it was a few months ago, when we had, 3/4 of the hero population.
Definitely. And that's one thing that this is not taken into consideration. If the hero population is significantly reduced, then current floor prices will go up, and that would completely skew off some of these calculations. So,
And we'll have more users with Avalanche being opened up as well.
yep.
Yeah, one thing that sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no worries. Go ahead.
One thing that I was kind of looking at, whether it's a rare, a legendary, or a mythic, is say you have one of those heroes, and let's just say they have a 50% chance of survival. Would you be willing to pay that value in jewel of the purchase price of a hero to bump their stats by +5 to 3 unique areas? That's been kind of the question that I've been asking myself. And obviously, with some of your rares, legendaries, and mythics, the survival rate is even above 50%. But I think about it. Like I have a rare ninja right now, and would I be willing to spend, 100 and he's a forager, so would I be willing to spend 170 jewel to bump his stats +5 in 3 different groups? And I think when I ask myself that question and think about combat, I think that's a risk I'm willing to take every time. And that's kind of my more basic calculus of how I'm trying to figure out, is it worthwhile to send a hero or not? And then if that's the case, I'm going out and, buying another version of that hero and sending them both.
Honestly, on
Yeah.
that note, I believe you would take 50% of the cost. So if the floor for a legendary ninja is, what would you say the floor was?
I was thinking on a rare ninja
Oh, a rare ninja.
forager. I'm trying to sell mine somewhere around 170 to 200.
Yeah, so I mean, if the survival rate's 50%, then really your opportunity cost is 85 jewel, not
Right,
170.
That's a good
So
point.
would you pay 85 jewel to have 15 bonus stats,
Oh,
one
yeah.
extra level,
All day.
achievement for future quests, and access to land tournament? So that's kind of the opportunity cost there.
Yeah,
But
I think that I'm glad you brought up that word, opportunity cost. I think that's what's stressing my mind the most on, trying to be prepped for stat based combat. I mean, they've pretty clearly laid out that the initial version of combat is going to be based on stats alone, and there is going to be the opportunity for some RNG in there as well. But if you can have a hero with +15 stats, you don't have to be at level 10 where you've stampotted and used, I don't know, 10 to 20,000 real life dollars to get that. I mean, it's a real level the playing field kind of opportunity out there. And I know there has been a lot of feedback that this benefits the whales, but I think that is a clear example of how it actually starts to even the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, on the whale comment, I will just note too, like there's no discrimination between the benefit people get, and I guess the only way you could say that there's discrimination is that whales will be more willing to send because they're able to take more risk. But I mean, that's kind of just
That's economics.
that's just
Yeah.
kind of like
Case in everything.
economics and like wealth like an issue of wealth inequality, and I'm not really going to get into that. So I mean, everyone's got a chance. So, and whales don't have a better chance just because they have more heroes. That's just they bought more heroes,
Right.
and so they're going to be more willing to take risks.
The
I mean, you guys
game
have heard Ogre; he's going to send every single one of his heroes.
Yeah, I think the game is more linear than most out there. I can't imagine a more fair way. I think it truly is. If you have more heroes, I mean that certainly you're more willing to spend that perhaps. But I feel like the risk reward is very linear in this game.
Yeah. Let me get to a few things that I've been thinking about with sending my heroes. So on my screen over here, you can see I have 98 heroes right now. I plan to send about 30 of them, and most of them are going to be all these. So I sorted here by level. I'm going to send pretty much anyone that's level 2 and below, because those have been like new summons. I haven't done much profession questing with them. I get higher here, even like this in this common level 5 with foraging 16, like not sending him. Like I mean, I'm gonna want at least a full set of foragers and fishers, and I mean especially if I had one that's like level 16, like level 16 profession skill, uh especially for like a common basic, no way I'm sending that. um
As
and
a lazy standpoint, I'm already clicking enough. I don't I don't
yeah,
need to go buy
exactly.
and replenish my hero stock of the guides that I'm just going to click a lot on.
there are a few high rarity heroes that I am thinking about sending. um like this monk and this archer. So they're basic, so they have lower chance, but like this archer has all the summons have been used up. So I can't extract any more value there. And if I hit another 15 stats, this thing's going to be a monster. I've been really considering sending my Dark Knight here. He's almost level 5, so he'll get a full level up from 5 to 6, which will save me so much time. But I still have 5 summons left on it. So for that reason alone, like I just cannot send him. Like that would be so much burned value. The like super degen play here would be, yeah, but I could level up, I could get 15 extra stats, and he could have the survivor quest, which could open up a lot of new things, and I could save these 5 summons and use those to maybe try and shoot for a dragoon when this guy hits level 100 and he's got min-maxed stats. But I think the 15 extra stats is not worth the risk of burning 5 summons. Like I could rent those out for quite a bit.
It's
So
funny. I saw on Twitter you were seeing if you could pimp him out, and I'm actually in a similar situation where I also have a mythic Dark Knight. He's the first mythic that I pulled, and I think I ran through a little bit of the same calculus. I'm still sitting on 5 of 5 summons, and I've been trying to occasionally I'll just test the marketplace and see if he can go for a really high jewel value, and he hangs out in the wallet, and so I don't think I can send him either on the trip. It's
yeah.
just I'm a little sentimental as well.
So
Excuse me.
your advice is any really high class or high tier hero that you're sending, advisable to summon them down to at least where it's economically feasible. I mean, don't
Right,
bleed a Gen 5 with 5 out of 5 summons down to 0.
right.
That's not smart, because that'll cost you a large fortune to do that. But
Yeah.
if you have Dark Knight or Sage or Paladin, and that's exactly why on Tasha's stream he summoned his 2 Dread Knights together, because he didn't want to send them with any summons, and he summoned another Dread Knight. So you're welcome, dog.
A couple other things. So profession skill, I've already like harped on that. I'm not sending like super high profession skill guys unless it's the profession skill is secondary to me wanting to use them for combat. The difference in price level for difference in level and the floor price. So I ran some numbers on that too. So like an uncommon floor is 41 jewel. And I'm going to go up from level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So 41 jewel for level 1, 43 jewel for level 2, 47.85 jewel for level 3, 55 jewel for level 4, and 66 jewel for level 5. That actually surprised me seeing that. So this was an uncommon, just like I did uncommon floors. And that's an over 50% increase based off of the level 5. And I guess I haven't been following the tavern closely. I didn't think that the market was appreciating the value of the time that it takes to level heroes up, but it is starting to get baked in. And
Flip
I think
over to my
that
screen. Look at this.
I think that disparity will probably be bigger as you
Oh yeah, for sure.
Level 5 heroes sitting at 45 is the floor. Like, that is absurd to me.
Mhm.
That much time, that is almost at the floor.
Yeah, so common the difference between level 1 and 5 for common is less. So I just shot with uncommon on that. But I so that just goes back to my point of like if you have a level 5 common, I would not be sending that on Perilous Journey.
Yeah.
You get 5% increased percent chance of survival and 5 extra crystal. I guess you get a few more like raffles, I think, is how the way the formula works. But I mean, so we all have like bigger wallets, right? We're not sitting. None of us have like 2 heroes. So like, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. You've got, let's say you have 1 rare and 2 just common, a fisher and a forager. That's you've been diligent. You don't have a ton of heroes, so you're super efficient with your time. You've been fully maximizing stamina usage. You've got middle of the pack rare. Let's just call them all. Let's say you splurge and got a Dark Knight, rare Dark Knight, and just 2 common basic, a forager and a fisher. Are you sending these guys?
I think a lot depends on, where you think the game is going, and are they going to put more stock into PvP or more stock into PvE? And if you look at the roadmap, PvE is a lot farther off, and I think that would weigh into my decision. I'm heavily betting on PvP being what really draws people into the game and creates this economic engine that they're hoping for in the future. I think, when you look at other games that, maybe they're loosely modeled off of, my understanding is a lot of that is, PvP elements. And, even like when I think about to my past, like games that I've loved most or gotten sucked into, I mean, you're fighting other real life people online. And so I think there's a ton of value in, trying to prep your heroes for that PvP style play. And again, I worry that if it's a hard decision. This is not financial advice by any stretch, but if you don't sell or send your rare hero on the quest, their value kind of decreases automatically compared to the other heroes that everyone else sent and successfully made it to the other side of the journey. And so that's something that I think I'm sending rares and above if I've extracted their value.
What about that scenario, Babypunch? Would you send? I think, and just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like I think the biggest thing is like every situation, like there's no like formula. Like everyone's situation, everyone's risk tolerance, everyone's outlook is going to be way different, and those all are qualitative factors are going to be weighed into your decision making.
Yeah. And one other scenario to kind of consider, if you just have a few heroes, I mean, you've got to consider the opportunity cost of the quests that you're going to miss out. So if you have, say, 3 heroes and that's all you can afford, you don't have the money right now to accumulate more, buy more. If one of those heroes dies, then you've got to consider, okay, and how much questing rewards did I just lose out on for the next several months? If you can't replenish that hero right away, then you've potentially lost out on maybe a swash rune, maybe an egg. I mean, those are really rare, but you've got to consider the future quest rewards that you've just lost out on because you no longer have that hero and can't backfill him, can't replenish him with another hero. So my perspective and what I would do if I was a smaller wallet that had 2 or 3 heroes, I would be really hesitant. The risk versus reward is high, but I don't know that I would financially take that risk. I know Ralph, Raph, you're under the different perspective as you can't afford not to take that journey, but when you consider kind of what you would lose in
Yeah.
future quests,
So
I mean,
I also love to play the counter of both arguments. I don't know, it's a crazy place inside my head. Something else I guess to think about for the counter argument of hanging on to them, and what you just mentioned, Babypunch, really just kind of got me thinking about it. When new players come to me that have the option to buy a hero and they have a wallet size where it's like, I could buy a couple heroes, what should I do? I often tell them, get in the gardens. Those are still some really juicy rewards there, and you might be better off, trying to grab one floor price hero to summon with for a while and reap those rewards of the gardens while they're still there. And if that's the case, maybe what someone could do if they're in this situation is actually hang on to their heroes, wait, and then sell them after the perilous journey when presumably hero prices are going to go up, and then take those earnings and throw them into the garden. So I don't know. That's another kind of creative and wild approach to the game. Now I know the gardens aren't as much fun. Having heroes is the sexy part of the game, and so sometimes you got to be patient though to earn some of those rewards.
in summary, none of us know what the heck we're doing or what is the right call. So
Yeah.
I mean, we do have some overarching
yeah,
kind of principles we're living by. It's like, what would you like, Raph, Babypunch?
Yeah.
What walking away from this stream? Like, what would be your like one takeaway? Like, if you were giving somebody advice, and it was like, and not just like, hey, you need to really think about this. Be like, what would be your like tangible, concrete, like, take this to the bank, like but hashtag not financial advice. Like, what would it be? Would it be for me, like, I'll start. So like for me, it would be, do not send your level 15 plus common basic profession skillers.
Yep, I would 100% agree with that. Mine would be, if you're in a spot where you can afford to take a high risk play like this, and you think you have a chance of potentially winning a Gen 0, if you're trying to accumulate raffle tickets, then I would highly consider sending several heroes. But if you don't have several heroes to risk, then I would not be sending.
Raph?
Yeah, my final takeaway, and this is heavily laden with bias, is that I'm drawn to PvP. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm, hoping or wishing it into fruition as much as anything else. And so I think I'm sending my high rarity heroes to try to gain that plus 15, that 5 stats to 3 different stat points, or excuse me, 5 stat points to 3 different stat categories. That's what I'm doing. So I'm sending high rarity heroes.
Nice. All right.
This has been clear as mud for everyone.
Advice. Yeah, this will be really interesting, and I hope that like we're able to like pull up the contract for this interaction and see I'm sure somebody in the community will create some sort of tool that shows us how many people are being sent, because I think that'll play a big role too in like if you see, hey, only 10,000 heroes have been sent, and the odds of like most of those are going to die, it might influence your decision based on the Gen Zero raffle tickets.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, when you see these IDOs and there's like a subscription model, what I suspect is, and what I would advise in a non-financial way is do not commit your guys on this journey until like the hour before, unless
Oh
you're
yeah.
gonna be out on the road, unless you're gonna be, somebody's gonna come out with a tool, somebody's gonna be able to pull up and see how many heroes have been committed to this, because I'm pretty sure once you commit, like there's no going back.
They
During that
did say that in the AMA. You're
yeah,
locked.
during that 5-day period, so you have 5 days to make that decision. Like I have no idea why you would ever submit at the beginning if you're on
Yeah.
the fence, right? If you
You're
were
just
like,
losing
I'm
out on
going
quest
either way,
rewards.
yeah, missing out on quest rewards, especially your Gen Zeros. You're missing out on summons. They're already going to be out for 10 days during the quest itself. But yeah, wait till the very last minute, see how many heroes are being committed to this, and maybe that'll push you over if you're on the fence on putting some value on these Gen Zero raffles.
Yeah, I think that numerator in that equation is going to be really high. Even though there's now 200 instead of the 50 heroes to earn, that I think that it's going to kind of be like a lottery ticket.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything about Perilous Journey? Should we wrap it up here, or is there anything else you guys want to talk
So
about?
I've got a summon here I want to do for everyone. Really quick, this warrior was a DR1 warrior and a DR1 miner. This sucker cost me way too much. It was a dumb decision to buy this, but I did it anyway for the plebs. And a DR1 knight. So I want to summon this.
Let's go.
Cross our fingers here. My summons have just been garbage. It has been a money pit for me lately. But if there's
I had a pairing of DR1 warriors and knights, and I stupidly, one of them was a fisher, and I got a paladin fisher. Was the one paladin I got.
Gosh.
it was brutal.
Hey, I wanna just mention this one guy's comment. Nate L. Can't whale so their heroes in different wallets and get tons of tickets. So yes, I'm assuming, Nate, and I'm sorry if this is like presumptuous of me, but I'm assuming you haven't been around for many of the airdrops and snapshots. So that's always a concern with every snapshot. Like the whales will just create tons of wallets. But since the very beginning, DeFi Kingdoms has tried to create an anti-multi-wallet incentive by providing you extra tickets if you do additional actions in the same wallet. This same thing is applied for this one. So you actually get extra tickets. Your heroes are worth more tickets if they're in the same wallet. So yes, they're going to get more tickets, and you might not like that if you don't like whales. But once one wallet wins, all of their tickets are gone. So there might be better ways to do it, but I think it's a pretty good way to get around multi-walleting.
Oh, okay. That's
rare.
not bad.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
You know what? I've got a DR1
Mining?
monk and DR1. Dude, that's nice.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Gonna send him?
You know what I'm first going to do? I am going to check him with this really awesome website that I found called DFK
Appreciate the
Adventures.
shout out.
Yeah, guys, this is actually really cool.
I'm going to check his stats right here. 142,616.
Do you have any skill pairings with this team?
No, there were no pairings, but our first skill. Night.
Night. That's good. How many summons left
DR1
you can
night.
see?
Honestly, you might use this for like more mining summoning.
Right.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
Guys, also really, really cool. On their website, on Raph and Nine Dwarf's website, you can set alerts. and you can have those alerts emailed to me. Emailed to me. Yeah, you can email them to me. That'd be great. I'll take all of your alerts. You can have them emailed to you, or this is the best part, is you can set it up to get alerts in Discord. So I have a bot that they've made that messages me, gives me a private DM whenever I get, whenever somebody lists something that I've put, like, set the alert parameters for. So I set an alert parameter for Gen 1 10 out of 10 heroes that have an aligned dominant and R1 main class. So it's really cool to see those like coming through every day. You know, I'm getting multiple per day in Discord, and it's really visible. It just like flashes up on my Discord, which is usually up all day. So highly recommend it. Raph, how do people, like, you know, they subscribe to your podcast and then they get a code to get access to it?
Yeah. So we have a Anchor podcast, which is listed in little icons below there on the screen right now. You can jump on there and do a monthly subscription, and then shoot us a message, DM us in Discord, and we'll get you hooked up on the website. A general note that I am sharing with everyone, because I really don't want this to feel like a rug pull, but we are going to be transitioning our payment system directly to the website to just streamline things, make it a lot easier. We've gotten a lot of codes lost in the ether, and so it'll actually be Neindorf is the genius and the brains behind all of this. So it'll kind of feel like a parking meter, so to speak, where you pay for X number of blocks on the blockchain, and you get access for that period of time. And we're going to keep the current rates comparable to where they're at now.
Wait, I had
very cool, man. That I will say that one thing alone has been like so valuable to me. Like, I will definitely be filling up my parking meter.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's so many people that will list.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I didn't even see that. Someone in the chat. Charlie
go.
Sprocket. Good call out.
Nice. Yeah, I think so many people are still listing heroes in the tavern that have DR1 matching and kind of fit that quasi pure state. And your percentages, if you get two DR1s summoning basics that are a pair that summon together, I mean, you go up from what, 15% on average, or 16% on average to 23, 22, right?
Yeah,
22. Yeah, 22.5 or something.
Yeah,
so yeah, it can make a big difference in the long run.
It's a huge difference. That's a 50% increase from its current rate. So it's not an increase of 50%, but when the rate was 14 and you're now at 22, that's a really big difference. So this would be like potentially like considered like alpha, like sharing the fact that you can get alerts like this. But like, I mean, the market is already starting to appreciate that. I've already seen it in the alerts. But like, man, sometimes people are listing, and I don't think they know that they have the aligned DR1, and they'll list it for like, low hundreds. Like, where a Gen 1 Virgin is like already floor price like 80, 90, and they listing it at like 115. It's like, that is an insta buy, because all it takes on, like, if you're trying to run a summoning farm, is you hit one advanced class in those first 5 summons, and like you're immediately in the profit.
Unless it's a Paladin Fisher. And then you cry yourself to sleep.
So yeah, really cool website. This was great talking with you guys about Perilous Journey. It's interesting to see other people's thoughts on this.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm super stoked too. There's so much we don't know about combat, so like, I'm not getting worked up about the fact that some people are gonna have plus 15 and others, and I think that the devs they're smart people, so
they are.
The game's gonna be balanced. There's gonna be a place for everybody, and I'm just not concerned about that.
Oh, I guess I had one other thing I wanted to ask you guys about.
Yeah.
On the last AMA, I believe they said that there would be 8 LAN tournaments available to the survivors. So my guess is that each one of those 8 tournaments is going to correspond to one of the statistics on the hero card. What do you guys think about that?
I would venture to say the same thing, but Yeah, I mean, if there's going to be 8 and they're going to be, I believe they said it was going to be based on whoever had in some algorithm the higher stat.
Hmm.
I don't know how they're going to consider, maybe it's taken into consider a couple stats, or I'm not really sure, but I would assume you're probably right.
Yeah, so it'll always be RNG, but you'll have a higher chance if you have the right stat and better stat. And I think he said also blue and green genes
They'll play a role now.
also will also give you like extra bonuses to that percentage rate. I think that's probably a pretty good speculation. 8 lands,
Yeah.
8 stats. I was actually surprised. 8 seemed low.
Yeah, it
8
does.
seemed low. I mean, you're gonna have some guys sending like mythic high tier heroes, and those are the guys you're gonna be playing against in the LAN tournament. And
Yeah,
those guys are gonna have plus 15 extra stats. So
they are doling these out a little slower than I thought they would. And I think you called that out, Samich, on one of your podcasts that I listened to a few weeks ago now. I was just thinking, as soon as they were visible, I was ready, like, and geared up and like, oh boy, they're here we go. And I think, I believe you talked about, well, they're probably going to let combat on the roadmap hit first before the rest of the land start releasing. And that seems to be the case.
yeah, it'll be interesting once they have because I mentioned like once they have this feat of or these stat based competitions, and then they also talked about travel, how the travel would work. Once that, like, it kind of sounded like they were just waiting for those to roll out before the tournaments. They started doing the tournaments, and that those would be a factor. So I think we're pretty. I mean, I don't know, but we're probably pretty close to the next wave of lands, rolling out, where there's 100 on the map and there's only 50 that have taken up. So I don't know. I've got my eyes on a couple places I'd like to buy. I'm sure if anybody's listened to our podcast before, they know where. Maybe I should stop. I saw some people putting it in their profile pictures. So
purple trees, maybe.
I'm going all waterfront, baby.
Oh yeah. Ow, this island.
Just like in real life, waterfront property. That's where the value's at.
I want Frisky's mansion over here.
Yeah.
That's his mansion.
Oh man, I'm just like stoked to see how this all rolls out, like with the like land and moving your heroes and the like adventure quests. It's gonna be awesome. All right, well, I guess maybe we can all like commiserate when we lose more than 50% of the heroes that we send on Perilous Journey.
Right.
One of my friends said something that's like spot on. Like, I get rugged so much with my summons and my level ups. Like, why do I think it's going to be any different with Perilous Journey? I don't know, but I'm like such a degenerate gambler that I can't help myself. I just need to like bake into the assumption that like if there's a 70% chance, like say I have like a mythic sage and there's a 70% chance that I'll die,
you've got to be prepared.
Probably die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna be so sad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's wrap it up. Raph, people have been asking about your website, your social media. We'll include those all in the description of the video after this recording, and then some people are asking about how to subscribe for your alerts. So maybe we can include that in the description as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's on Anchor or on Discord. Go ahead and send us a DM. Quick plug for the Discord too. We got a bunch of really smart people there, way smarter than me. And so, if you want to ask some of these questions, we got a bunch of great commenters over there.
How close are you to transitioning your payment system for?
I would say we're probably looking at 1 month to 2 months away, and we are going to put some kind of deliberate pause in place that if people are on any kind of payment system, we're going to recognize what they've done, and we're going to try to err on the side of you're going to get at least 1 month free, if not 2 months free, if you're subscribed and signed up.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Raph. Thanks, Baby
Raph,
Punch.
you're the man.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, this has all been just super clear, guys. Clear as mud. We all know exactly what we're doing. But
I think we have a better
good luck.
idea though.
Yeah, we all have a base to go from.
Last quick announcement. We had on our stream on Saturday, Ogre Abroad, we summoned a Dark Knight. The winner has failed to respond to us, so we will be actually giving the rare. So this is a Gen 1 5 out of 5 Dark Knight subclass summoner away on our next weekend stream. So definitely join us for that. And this will not be a King Sumo. It will be strictly for people in, live in the chat. So please join us. I can't wait to see who gets to win it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. And this Thursday we have a new segment to the show. It's going to be Harmony gamified project. So we are going to, on a weekly basis, be analyzing some of the other games on Harmony blockchain and given a kind of surface level breakdown of these projects. We're going to see if we can get some core team members for these projects onto the show to give us a rundown of what they're doing and cool things about their game. So that is a new segment to the show that we're going to be adding, and I don't know if it's going to be a Thursday fixed date, but this Thursday is going to be our first show, and we're going to be going over, let's see, what is it? DeFi the Gods.
Yeah, so we're going to cover lots. It'll be really fun, and I think it's been like a resoundingly consistent experience for Babypunch, myself, Bloaterpunch, all my friends in real life as we expand out to other chains and we're looking for games, how to get into games. It is extremely complicated. There's so much to learn. It's hard to find information, and where we've been so deep into Harmony, honestly, when we find out about a new project in Harmony that we haven't heard of, we're like, whoa, how did we not know about that? And it's been really interesting to see how once you get really involved in an ecosystem, that it's so much easier to stay on top of things. So we just like to share that knowledge, share some tips on how to stay on top of it, and just kind of tee people off to what's going on in the Harmony ecosystem. So we're really excited about that.
Yep.
Cool. All right. That's it for real. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Thanks,
Raph.
guys.
Thanks, Babypunch.
Good night.